Hey guys, welcome back. So we are back today to finish off what we started last week. You saw us build 2 of the beds, and then we got 2 more done in the meantime. I've got 2 more left to go. We had a comment from Don D about using a stop block on the miter saw, so we're going to try that to make this a little bit easier. I have a lot more of those 21¼ inch 2x4s left to go. So we're going to get that done, get those built, and then we're going to finish off the beds. We've got to put in a top bracer, which we're using a fencing wire essentially to hold the top together so it's not as bulky. And then the bottom, we're going to toss a 2x4 in the bottom just so we have a little strength. I understand that over time it'll probably end up rotting, but we're using pressure treated. In the meantime, if it does rot through and we do see a little bit of bowing, we'll put some straps on it, we'll try to winch it together, and then what we'll do is we'll put some rebar. We'll nail that into the ground just in case. Now, from this last week, I've had a couple questions about pressure treated wood. The pressure treated wood that is in use now is not the same as it used to be. In the early I'm getting attacked by a bee. In the early 2000s, they stopped using arsenic in it, and now it's a lot safer. So they recommend that it is okay for garden beds. And in the meantime, what I'm doing with adding that metal in on the inside of it, I'm also putting a tape liner on the inside that's aluminum. So that'll stop any of the wood from ever touching any of the dirt. So it's not going to be really an issue. So, but overall, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. So we're going to get started. So that took me under 3 minutes to get all the wood using the stop block. I highly recommend that. Thanks Don D for the comment, it helped out a ton. For a full explanation on how I put these beds together, there'll be a link in the corner. I'll also leave it in the description, and I'll give you a full layout on how to put this all together with all of the materials you're going to need. So we got them all done. The last 2 beds are all built. Again, Don D, thanks for the suggestion. It was very helpful. And generally, here is our layout. I do have some final touches. I've got to make sure the measurements are all exact and determine where the fence is going to go before we find a final home for all of the beds. But this gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. Now we'll go over way the bed is finished out. All right guys, so this is what we've got. We've got our wire on top that is being cinched in, and that is holding the top in place. It's got a little bit of flexibility to it right now, so that over time, if it does start to bow, it'll taunt up, and then if I need to tighten it, I've given the turnbuckle a lot of slack, so it'll be very easy to tighten it and bring it in a lot closer. Now you see the 2x4 we've used in the bottom, and the top here, we've got a 2x4 for the top. We decided to use a 2x4 rather than a 2x6, or I think we've seen other people use decking just because of cost. We have the 2x4s because I over-ordered them, so we're using that for the topping. All right guys, so we got a lot of work ahead of us to finish them off, so let's get started. All right, so we got everything laid out to start doing our first center bracer. So things we're gonna need is a measuring tape. You're gonna need a 17/64 drill bit. You're gonna need your eye bolts. I went with a 1/4 inch by 4 inch. I think originally I had a 2-inch or 2.5 inch, and it just wasn't long enough. Now the 4-inch is probably a little too long, and there is quite a bit of an overhang, but that overhang gets covered up by the 2x4 topper once you put it on. I've got a package of 1/4-inch washers, and then I picked up these wire rope bindle and thimble sets that are going to clamp on and put together this 16 gauge wire that's going to have a vinyl coating on it. Now, one of the things that you're going to have to understand, one of these is not going to be enough. So from what I learned from this last one, this is going to add strength to the corners and make sure it doesn't bend and eventually break from the weight. So you're going to want these on the very end of both sides, and you want 2, if not 3 of these holding this in place so it doesn't have any give. You can buy everything separate, but at this size they do not sell just the clips. You're going to have to buy the packaging, but you can buy extra of the thimble rope, wire rope thimbles. You're going to need a turnbuckle for one of the ends, and you need something to twist everything. Now once all of that is in, next thing we're going to do is we're going to tape up the inside. This part is not pretty. I am still trying to figure out the best way to put this on without creating a jankified mess, but we're going to do our best and need something to cut it with. That's just for the top and the sides. Once we get that done, we'll put the center bracer in the bottom where we'll measure that out, we'll cut that up, we'll screw that in. I like laying that on its side to screw that in. So we'll get that in, and then we're going to start working on the top. You're going to need about 5 feet of wire here. And just keep in mind, this part's really tedious, so take your time and make sure you get it tight. Hey, can you grab that top wire right here? Grab that.
Yeah.
Take it. No, top. This. Thank you. 100% right here. Just hold it right there. Nope, underneath. Just keep it right there. Keep it right here. 44.5. Okay.
I'm a builder. 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 Whoa.
Before you attach the railing, you're going to want to put a pocket hole on underneath outside of the board on both sides. Then I marked where I was going to put all the screws for the railing. I put them about a foot apart for a total of 9 screws. Now I put the clamps on originally to help hold the boards in place, but as I was screwing it in, I was noticing there was a bit of wobble or bend to the board. So as I was screwing everything in, I took the clamps off to shift the board so it would end up being straight. That's it, we're all done. They match each other, they're looking good. We've got our rails on the side, we got our center connector, the wire, and then the 2x4 on the bottom, and all the tape is in. I'll leave a description of everything specifically that we used and how we held everything together. We used about another 32 screws, the 3-inch construction screws, to put everything together. It went well, weren't many hiccups. Not as much as the first time where we were trying to figure everything out. So I will leave a description of everything in the bottom. If you guys have any questions, again, ask me. Thanks for Don D for giving me the heads up on the stop block. That made things significantly easier. So guys, when you're cutting the 2x4s, use a stop block when you're doing this amount, this number. I don't even know how many exactly I needed for everything, but I'll throw that as a count in the description as well. So if you guys have any questions, again, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you.
My hand and my foot's stuck.